worked in construction and material. Ready, Gina?
I laugh a lot of more I come to
It is Tuesday, March the 26th. We'll call to order this meeting of the Murphysboro City Council. As is always, I ask we would all rise, and we have with us this evening from Street Baptist Church, Brother Charlie Allen, and we invite him to lead us in an invocation.
Let's pray, folks. Father, as we come before you, we do thanking you for the beauty of this day and the blessings that you've afforded to us. We thank you, Father, for your watch care over every moment of our lives and as you provide for all things that we go through each day. We thank you most of all for your love for us, the love that we truly celebrate this coming Sunday as we celebrate Easter, the love that provides for us forgiveness, salvation, everlasting life, and gives us such hope. Father, tonight as the council comes to act on behalf of the citizens of Murphysboro, we pray you bless them and guide their hearts and their minds with the decisions they make, be good decisions on our behalf. Father, thank you for this city. Thank you for the folks who serve us in so many ways. Keep every one of them safe. Father, just bless tonight now and watch over those who are here and the input that's given. Let it be constructive and useful in every way. And we're just going to pray your blessings on each one. Go with us and have your way. Keep your hand upon us, and we're going to praise you. And it's in your name we ask it all. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Charlie.
Alderman Hughes. Alderman Curry-Witzman. Alderman Runge.
Here.
Alderman Austin.
Here.
Alderman Jackson. Here. Alderman Pittman.
Here.
Alderman Urbis.
Here.
Alderman McComb.
Here.
Alderman Strack.
Here.
Here. Here. Get into our agenda items. Up first, we have the consideration of minutes for March the 12th, 2024, and I'd entertain any questions or amendments to the minutes at this time. Entertain a motion to adopt the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That takes us into our regular committee and commission reports. First, we have Budget and Finance chaired by Mr. W.J. Pitt.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no items under old business. Under new business, we have consideration of accounts payable registers. Anybody have any questions regarding the bills?
I have one question, and it's for Chief McBride. On page 3, on the first bank card, what are challenge coins?
That's similar to the coins that the council purchased. We use those to hand out to instructors who come to teach us.
Okay, that's fine.
I think I've given you one, haven't I? If not,
I
I've
don't
got
think
one.
so. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Any more questions?
I can add to that. Those were already budgeted, but I did give some of those recently to Mayor Stevens to take to the, when he goes up to talk about getting us funding to the fire.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you.
No other questions? Entertain motion to pay bills.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is financial statements prepared by Scott Evans. Budget officer Scott.
Thank you, W.J. I have 3 reports tonight. We have the income tax receipts for the month, and we hit a new high again. Nice to say that. 69,575 is what our income tax voucher this month was, and I actually am seeing a little bit more uptick in the amount of Illinois income taxes my own clients are paying, because I think a lot of it has to do with last quarter of the year we had a pretty good year in the stock market, and I think they're experiencing some capital gains, nothing like a year or two ago. But I think that, as you know, any kind of income tax revenue receipts that Springfield receives is going to adjust that number, obviously not just Murphysboro. So it started to make sense that we'd have those good numbers, and so far so good. We've beaten last year all 3 months, and, hopefully we'll continue that. I would expect the May number will be a big number again, because it's kind of when there was about a month behind on these receipts from when they actually received them, so it makes sense that May would be a big number coming up, because who hasn't paid throughout the year pays on April 15th, so. Well, anyway, I'm happy with that number. The health insurance, healthcare cost report, we have that for the month of January. I don't have the February one done yet, but for the first month, we spent $38,649 in that for general fund, and $9,500 in water sewer, and those are both within budget. Pretty decent month on the HRA, not uncommon for January, I guess. So anyway, we'll continue to monitor that, because as you have heard me preach, that after our salaries and other related costs, that's the second biggest expense we have is the healthcare cost. So it's always a big number to keep track of. Speaking of salary, the salaries for February, if you look at the last page, we spent $278,605 across the city, all departments. We budgeted $342, so we have a cushion of $63,000 for the month. And for the year to date, we spent $563, budgeted $684, and we're $121,000. Keep in mind that that's building in cushion for the extra pay periods we're going to have 2 months this year.
When's our first month of that? May.
So obviously, some of that will flip the other direction, so, and then of course, holiday pay is also part of that. So I don't really see any major issues in any of the departments so far in those 2 months in the salary. They're all pretty well within line, or better. Through 2 months, our salaries are not out of control, I'll say that for sure. Any questions on that or anything else?
All right, thank you, Scott. Is there any public comment under budget and finance? Hearing none, I can move out of budget.
This is the Building and Grounds, chaired by Mr. Mike Austin. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. Under Building and Grounds, we have, and under New Business, we have a presentation by AGE and review of current utility contracts. And with us tonight, we have Bruce Wallace and Brandon Buller. So, gentlemen, I'll leave it with you.
Thank you, Council and Mayor. I'll stand. I have with me tonight Brandon Buller, who was one of my associates, and I'm going to have him speak to one of our offerings. Over the last number of years, I do want to express my gratitude to the council and negotiating the electricity on behalf of the city. So with that, I have the new contract is due in May, and I want to get in front of you ahead of time so we can discuss those options. I do have some pricing tonight to share with you. You have this particular sheet in front of you. You have two. One of them stapled together. It's 3 sheets. Because there's 2 different contracts. One is for the street lights by itself, and one is for all the rest of the public buildings and facilities. A total of 1.4 million kilowatts is used. On the first staple page, I'll bring you to the front, the very top of the very top of the page there. This gives you some idea of what your usage is on the left block at the top. 1,460,000 kilowatts annual usage. The current contract rate is at, on the right-hand side, is 5.2 cents per kilowatt hour, which was great. Everybody's been enjoying that for some time now. That been under contract for the last several years. That was a good old day, so to speak, and we're going to get to that. Currently, the Ameren, Illinois rate is 9.7 cents per kilowatt. and those are prices that are subject to alteration twice a year in May and October. We already know that we expect those prices to rise both in May and October this year. Of course, we don't know what that's going to be. Probably won't be anything, a great lot. Take a little bit at a time, and I think we'll probably at the end of the year be over 10 cents a kilowatt hour very easily. The bids we got for today, we bid with 4 different suppliers, as you see below there, Homefield Energy, Direct Energy, AEP Energy, and Constellation Energy. Constellation today was the best prices. They are in blue. And we have the terms at 12, 18, 24, and 36 months. As you can see, those pricings, move the decimal point there. You'll see the 12-month pricing at 7.5, and the 36-month pricing at 8.3. Now, that will be compared to whatever the current Ameren rate is, which is now 9.7. So whichever one of those you choose, you're going to be that much below the 9.7 rate currently, but again, probably in 2 months, we expect to see that rise a little bit, and again in October. So that margin will increase slightly as time goes on. So those are the pricing. I didn't bring any contracts tonight to consider because of the size of the contracts. Constellation contracts are 8 pages each, and I didn't want to throw 36 pages of the contract in front of you tonight. So discussion will be whether you want to contract tonight and pick a term, and then I will bring the contract to the office tomorrow for signature, or if you want discussion, we can always come back with new pricing at the time that you so choose. So that's where I am at this point. I also want to bring to your attention that we are also in the solar development and community solar business. I did take a opportunity to print off a GIS sheet for the wastewater treatment plant, and with all the open space there, I would like for the council to consider at least sometime in the future for us to discuss solar installation at that facility. We can do that at your convenience, but with the tax credits now, although the city can't take those, there is a lot of benefit for owning or doing a purchase power agreement with a private entity that will benefit at a particular location. And then the community solar side, which I'll have Brandon talk about after we discuss the actual day-to-day utility rate, which is what I had for tonight specifically, and then to ask for your consideration for solar in the future.
Mr. Austin, can I?
Questions?
Mike, do you mind if I interject a question here?
Go right ahead, Mayor.
Bruce, remind me, AGE and this particular, we're in a group of communities essentially. Is that correct, or am I misremembering sort of the structure of our buying power?
The particular group is for the Chambers of Commerce. They are under, we also have a group for cities. We have 110 cities that we purchase collectively for. So yes, when we go out and purchase, those are included. We just recently did the aggregation for, now that particular aggregation I'm talking about, Mayor, is for the communities, meaning the citizens, which is currently under contract. We just recently did that not long ago. The individual cities are done individually.
Right. But it seems to me that AGE has become sort of the lone player in this space over the last years, in Southern Illinois anyway. It seems like there used to be a lot of various companies that were doing this, and it seems like now it's just AGE. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And, the reason for that, I think, is because of the way that we do business, and I don't think you're ever going to find anybody that's going to be, really give us any kind of disparaging influence. We try to operate on behalf of the best interest of not only the cities, but the communities as well. I just think that's just the way it is. And over time, we want to call it squeezed out. I guess we squeezed out a lot of our competition. Plus the fact that we've now merged with a larger group out of Chicago, and then subsequently been purchased by an even larger group out of Texas. So we have a lot of buying power now, and we have a lot of market clout. So that helps drive pricing down and give us a little more buying power.
Is your recommendation the 36-month plan or something else?
I think I would recommend you at least 24, 36 on whatever the council might decide. It's hard to say, as most of you might remember, about 18 months ago, we had a spike in pricing. It went up to 14, Ameren went up to 14 cents, and the market followed, we were about 11 or 12. That came back down about 6 months later. There were some people that were caught in the middle there. However, that's coming back to some equity now, and pricing, it looks like it's going to continue to rise at least for the near future. Certainly this year, that we already know of. We usually have a good guidance on about 18 months. Out beyond that, it's kind of a roll of the dice.
Other questions from the council?
Remind me, which one of these companies are we with now?
It was Constellation.
Constellation, it is the same. But the residents are still home field, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions from the council?
It would be my recommendation that we enter into a 24-month contract with Constellation.
Did we do 24 last time?
I did 36 last
We did
time.
36 last time.
Now, it was during COVID, and we had
Oh,
a
yeah.
meeting. The meeting was over at the high school.
Yes, I remember that now.
Do we want to make agreement to those terms? Do we want to see contracts before we sign it, or I don't?
Is it different than has it, is the contract basically the same?
It is the same.
Is this pricing?
Other than the pricing.
Yeah, I get that. Oh, come on.
It's good price.
Yeah, that's-
Is this pricing only valid for a certain period of time? I know, typically when you present this, it's a situation, I don't know, 10 days, 2 weeks.
6 hours.
That's the car salesman. That's the car salesman.
Well, he's anticipating it going up May the, what, 30th or 1st?
Well, it'll be, you'll see it probably on your June statements. So I'm not sure the exact date, maybe probably mid-May.
Yeah, we've heard the words from the mayor. Is there any motion or any consideration from the council?
I propose we make the mayor's suggestion of motion.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. For 24.
Is that for
24 months.
Aye.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Is that for both accounts then?
For the street lighting in?
Correct, yeah. There'll be 2 separate contracts that there'll be, but,
My intention was for the,
That's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify.
contract, mayor in the morning, and will you be able to execute that tomorrow, Mayor?
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So that's, if we do it tonight, is that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are you wanting to?
Yeah, do I have any more questions for me? Okay. Thank you, Mayor, thank you, Council. Brandon Bullard is my associate, and we're going to talk about community solar tonight, which is an additional savings in addition to the contract that we just signed. Brandon?
Bruce, we're playing a little bit of good cop, bad cop. You had to go with a higher rate for bad cop. Now comes the savings part. I waited until he came on the floor before I said that. So forgive me if you've heard of community solar, but I'm here to talk a little bit about what it is and how it works. And then the partner that the company we partner with called Nexamp. They're one of the ones that are building the solar farms all throughout Southern Illinois and Ameren territory. And community solar is a mechanism by which municipalities, businesses, residents, small businesses, any Ameren customer can save money on their electricity bills or Ameren bills without putting solar panels on their property. The mechanism is subscribing your energy to a solar farm. So there's a lot of moving parts there. Really, more than anything, I want to introduce it to you tonight and show you a little bit of savings, what we can do with the city of Murphysboro. And then, of course, if there's obviously questions and then if there's a follow-up meetings, we're happy to help facilitate those as well. So community solar, again, is a mechanism by which the city of Murphysboro is invited to subscribe nearly 2 million, I got 1.9 million kilowatt hours under management to a local solar farm. Actually, this one in particular is not local, it's up near Springfield, but the solar farm then captures the solar energy in your name, puts it on the grid, and then Ameren is still in charge of delivery off of the grid into your light bulbs. So the way the savings works is you're basically buying the tax credits from the solar farm. The way the savings works is your supply portion of your Ameren bill will be effectively zeroed out. And then the second bill will come from the solar farm for the same amount of usage, same amount of kilowatt hours that month, but for 15% less money. Community solar is not rate driven, so what we just did with Bruce doesn't have any effect on this. Effectively it's 15% off the top discount. So there are 3 levels of community solar subscriptions. One, the top level is called an anchor subscription. These companies, Nexamp is who we're working with at the moment, these companies like to have about 45 to 50% of their usage spoken for before they even build the farm. So what we're doing right now is reserving space on an upcoming solar farm for municipalities all throughout southern Illinois. The good thing for the city of Murphysboro is this: they are able to subscribe nearly all of your usage to a solar farm, and that gives you that flat 15% discount. Obviously with 1.9 and change million kilowatt hours, that equates to some real money. So I took the liberty of going ahead and putting a savings analysis together. And we'll go through this together and I'll show you kind of how this works. But first year savings on a subscription to a community solar farm is just over $27,000. And over the 20-year term, it's just over $637,000. So all good news there. More good news, it doesn't cost the city of Murphysboro a dime to subscribe your usage. It doesn't cost anybody a dime, actually, whether it's a resident or a small business or whomever that may be. You're not saddled with any kind of solar panels or any kind of solar farm yourself. No maintenance, that sort of thing. One question, storm goes through the solar farm, tornado, whatever the case may be. You got one extra, you like that? And more good news there, the solar farm is only in charge of capturing the power and putting it on the grid. Ameren is still in charge of delivery, so nothing will be interrupted or affected as far as your delivery goes. Let me take a pause and answer any questions. I know I've thrown a lot at you there, but Bruce mentioned earlier too, we'd like to do a study on the wastewater treatment plant. We know there's some land there that could be used for a behind-the-meter solar solution. We've got a lot of opportunity there where we could save that particular account, which is nearly half of the total usage.
About 800,000.
Yeah, quite a bit of savings there as well. So I'm kind of one of the solar guys. I'm the community solar guy for our company. We do this in municipalities all throughout southern Illinois. I've Nashville, Carterville, Pinckneyville, Steelville, Jefferson County, Effingham, Vandalia, whatever. Anyway, we've got a lot of municipalities on board, and they're enjoying those savings once the solar farm gets up and going. Nexamp is offering you all a spot to get in that as well.
Well, I think we have just talked at recent meetings about specifically the wastewater treatment plant, and Alderman McComb has brought a community solar ad out of Municipal League magazine, and so we have been talking about this recently, and I think it's something we do want to pursue. Mr. Austin, I don't know, as chairman of this committee, would you be willing to perhaps meet with Mr. Bullard, or Buller?
Yep, Bullard.
Okay, Bullard, and, kind of gather some additional details and report back?
Sure. Sure.
All right, appreciate that. Just for information as well, we did a savings analysis without the wastewater treatment plant usage on the community solar subscription. And even that was, at the end of a 20-year term, was almost $400,000 in savings if we left that large account off. So it averages out to about $20,000 in savings just to subscribe that usage as well without this, with the wastewater treatment plant. So there's some considerable savings to be had here, and we'd be glad to explore that with you for sure.
Yeah. And I will recruit Mr. Runge, and we'll get together and get with Mr. Bullard, and we'll report back.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both for being here this evening. All right, is there any additional comments from the council? Comment. Seeing nothing, Mayor, we can move out of building and grounds.
Thank you very much. That takes us to community relations. In the absence of Ms. Curry Witzman, I'll go through these items. We have old business under community relations. Under new business, we have consideration of proposal for Big Money Monster Footprints. And we have a letter here from Lisa Malure, the chair of the Murphysboro Tourism Commission. They've got a concept similar to the Saluki paws that are in Carbondale, but they would be monster footprints such as these on some of our streets. And so I know we have one representative from IDOT here that might be able to help us answer some questions that I have immediately.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. I just don't know that the places they specifically asked for them, I don't know that we can approve any of them.
So what is the situation with the Saluki paws in Carbondale?
On 13.
Honest opinion, Carbondale really didn't get permission to do that.
Okay.
That seems every time.
Initially, we would have to run it through our permits department, Mr. Jeff Bowling. I'm a Murphy kid, so on the later issue, sympathetic to the cause, anything that I can do to assist with helping out the community. I know they're gonna probably run down Walnut Street. Is that correct, Jay?
They've got Highway 13, Highway 127, and Highway 149.
Getting down toward the park, too.
At the entrance?
It's
Okay.
not
Yeah.
the length of it.
Okay.
The one thing that we have to be careful, especially on the west end, is that we don't want to conflict or distract from the crosswalk, those piano keys that go across that we install on that route. We'll work with you. We'll when the time comes, get in touch with me. We'll work after our permits department. But at Carbondale, but one of the problems that happens is traffic control during all this, during the actual installation. And like one Saturday, we all just happened to be going through Carbondale, and there they are.
Yeah, because they kind of plan it a couple weeks ahead of time. They just send out a bunch of emails and say, come help, and we'll provide beer and pizza.
Right. And so it's one of those things where just a little bit of planning will curry a lot of favor within our department. So when the time comes, we'll work with you on it.
Okay.
Well, it also says going through town from the statue to Riverside Park. So
Yeah, that's kind of the path they want it to lead down to Riverside.
I have no problem now.
No. I think it's a great idea.
And you got brick streets, you got
Some be hard to find.
Yeah.
Well,
Make it look like he made the potholes.
There you go.
I think while we got Bob here, we could talk about William Street.
well, that's why he's here, actually. I'm going to get to that under public safety.
Yeah.
So,
Do we have to have any kind of promotion on this, or?
I don't think at this time, Amy, I know you're, involved. We have Sandra Ripley, who's also engaged with tourism at their meetings. The way that I see this is we just need to essentially forward this request, I suppose, to IDOT, working those channels. Is there anything else
Send it
to?
attention to me, and I'll handle it.
Okay.
I mean, as far as the other routes down to Riverside, we're allowing them to do that on, I don't know if we need a motion for that, or do we want to know specific roads that they want to put them on?
I think a map would be, very important. Yes?
There was supposed to be a map, maybe attached to that, but I don't even think it went all the way down the street. Like, it was maybe like down by the boat ramp where he was sighted, and then sort of like a couple prints coming in from Westwood Hills, and then a few leading to the statue. So it was not like ever a length of a street. It was
I
really
see.
just in some specific areas.
Well, if we could just get a map with sort of those specific areas highlighted, so we could be with IDOT, then we could forward that request and try to move that along. I think it's a good idea. Make it be positive tourism type of thing for the community, so. Okay. That takes us to more monster issues. The consideration of big money monster signage. Mr. Urbis and others have brought up that they're adjacent to the money at the intersection of 13127. We don't have any signage there. And I reached out to Joe Capias, and there's $2,000 that he's essentially willing to give to the city. In a way, we had a reimbursement to him recently through one of the business agreements we have, and he said, well, instead of sending me that whole amount, just hold a couple grand back, and that'll be my contribution toward it. And I've got with Christine DeShazo, and I believe I sent a sort of an image out to a lot of the members of the council, text message, and the sign that we proposed to put there, the size of like the welcome sign as you come in from Carbondale on 13. And I know I had at one point, up today, Darren Mills sort of got together some cost estimates as to what like the materials were to construct that similar size of a sign. And Darren, I asked, but I don't expect you to remember. It's been too many sleeps ago. But I did talk to Lisa Miller, and she said that tourism is willing to, fund share of the project. And so I think we're talking maybe $4,000 or $5,000 or so. But I think it would be just a very positive, like Route 66 style, stop here and see the infamous Money Monster.
I like the one that said take a picture because it encourages people to stop.
Right.
Is there power down there that we could keep it lighted and everything?
Well,
Is the statue lighted currently? I don't even know if the statue.
It is not. There is a local electrician who has been saying he was going to do that for a while as a donation, but it hasn't happened yet. But we do have that.
Hook into McDonald's.
There is well, you just, throw an extension cord in over at McDonald's and see how long it plays.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But there is obviously electricity right within feet of the statue. So I think it wouldn't be hard to get it lit at night. So anyway, is there questions, joys, concerns? All right. Well, I'll just keep sort of sallying forth, and I'll show up with a bill here.
Which one did we decide on? Which one of the images?
Well, there was a couple of difference between. One of them was stop and see, I think, the infamous Big Money Monster. The other one said stop and take a picture with.
Yeah.
It was 50-50. Yeah, I mean, if I don't pick the right one, I'll be impeached.
I get fired that easy, probably.
Well, I will probably go with take a picture, I think.
Is that the one with the in cursive writing or one with just the block letters?
Well, you're asking me.
Well, couldn't you solar panels down there for light?
Yeah.
There you go.
You good? Stop for a picture was in block lighting, or letters. We really need a better council chamber so y'all can see what we're looking at. That's what we're working on. But anyway.
Well, let's put this off to next meeting, and in our packets, let's
We'll provide the photos in the next packet. I should have had it for this one. All right, well, let's move on to the consideration of request for 5K run walk. American Cancer Society, Saturday, May the 18th at 8 a.m. We have a representative here that would like to.
I am the chairman of the local
local Relay for Life for Jefferson County, Murphysboro. We've had this event every year for probably 6 years, I think. The 5K that is, and we use the same route as the Apple Festival. I would urge the council to consider blocking off some streets and providing a little bit of security for that day. It's usually over by 11.
Okay. Very good. Well, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion.
Second. Write down whoever you want, Gina.
Sure will.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, that takes us to our next item, which is the consideration of amendment to the liquor code regarding sale of alcohol on Sundays. I believe that we have a email here from Ms. Amy Mills with outlining this consideration. I did have a brief conversation with our city attorney earlier today, and he suggested that if we are going to do this, that the probably best way to do it would be to amend the language that is provided along with our Class AR and DR liquor licenses, simply by saying alcohol may be served on Sunday beginning at fill-in-the-blank a.m., provided that the kitchen facilities are fully operational and full menu service is available. So that was, I wanted to share that sort of at the outset, because
The R meaning they serve food, it is a restaurant. Most of their business is from, is that correct?
an AR license provides for beer, wine, and spirits.
Yeah, I get that.
A DR is just a beer and wine, like
But
Martell's.
R says they have to serve food.
Yes, I
Has
believe
to be
it
a
stands for restaurant, but
For the definition of restaurant, a minimum of 51%
Oh,
of their income
only
has to come
51.
from sell of food
Okay.
or non-alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, well, I suspect that all of these would be
City
more
has,
than
as Mayor said, the city
50%.
has 2 restaurant licenses, the AR and DR.
Okay, thank you.
Amy, do you want to speak to the matter?
Certainly. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. We at 17th Street and Fay are always so proud to do business in Murphysboro, and we appreciate always the guidance and wise counsel of the council. I know that I have talked about this really for several years, and I'm in a unique position with Fay because we are a breakfast lunch restaurant. We are open from 8 to 2 on Sundays, and we do have people who come in and want to have that mimosa or Bloody Mary with their brunch, with their breakfast/lunch. Our business really ramps up on Sundays starting at 10. We wouldn't be open at 8 if we didn't have some people coming in at 8. But I feel that, our cocktails are expensive. I don't think that this is somebody who's coming in to overindulge or drink too many of them. Part of that brunch experience, and something that they can do on a Saturday but have not been able to do on a Sunday. I wish that Mr. Mike Jones was here because he wanted one every Sunday when he came in, and I had to always turn down.
He's still asking.
He is. He would want this. He talked to me about it a lot, and I just never got here in time, and I feel terrible about that. But I appreciate your consideration. I know that historically, this has been a law. I attached an amendment from the city of Cobden, who made such an amendment for the Iron Whisk in their town, because obviously Sunday mornings are very popular at the Iron Whisk, and I think that they have been operating successfully with no issues. And so I certainly welcome any questions that you might have, or I'll be interested in hearing your discussion and would just appreciate your support.
Thank you, Amy. Thoughts? Rick?
I personally support it. I mean, why would we turn away business from the town? And that's, I don't drink either one of those. I don't like the taste of either one of them, but
Good Bloody Mary is really nice for breakfast.
it's got tomato juice.
Yeah.
That stops me right there. I'm done with that. So I'm supportive of it if it's going to help increase the business that's coming into this town and staying into this town. That's where I'm at.
We're talking a few hours. I do have a question. If we amend the current, what's the name of it? Ordinance, it's an old brain, sorry. if we do amend the current ordinance, would we have to have that in writing before we could approve that, or could we approve the language tonight so that this could perhaps be done? I think Amy has a goal of trying to have this done before the eclipse, and I truly get that. But also, I don't know if, we have to have a special meeting or whatever to approve that. So, Richard?
I believe that if you want to do it, and if you approve the language, which the mayor just suggested, the exact language would be adding one sentence to a particular section. If you approve amending that section by that identical language, then I can prepare what will then need to be signed by the mayor and certified by the city clerk.
But it could be voted on before that was certified.
Yes.
Okay.
And then they can sign what is necessary.
I know that she's anxious to know that, so.
I would love that, but I'm going to take what I can get.
I get it. I'm trying, Amy, here.
Mr. McCall?
Well, I don't have a problem with it, but a couple of people that go to church on Sunday mornings ask me not to vote for it. And I mean that, I don't drink anymore, but I mean, that was the only thing I had. Church is on Sunday morning.
I had a couple of people talk to me about 8 a.m. thinking it was early, and I kind of thought that too, but Amy and I were talking about Missouri, and I remember, going to baseball games, and you couldn't get a beer until after 12 o'clock in St. Louis. I looked up, last year St. Louis passed a state law authorizing liquor sales at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
on Sunday.
That's a little early for my Bloody Mary.
Not if you get off work at 6 a.m. It's not that early.
Basically, they made Sunday the same as every,
At one time, the county was open 24 hours a day, except on Sunday, 6 to noon, you had to shut down.
Mr.
I
Black?
drank back then.
Curious.
The definition of a restaurant is 51% or more.
I would have thought more.
I would have thought.
I would have
Oh,
too.
no, but, okay, I would like to see us put in the language a percentage of restaurant business that is required, rather than just say available.
It's already in there.
It's already in there.
It's built in the definition already.
Okay, but does it state that in
The ordinance?
the
Yes.
ordinance?
It does already by definition.
Okay.
How do we enforce that, Richard? I mean, do we, when somebody applies for a license, do we have to have them open up their books to us?
Or, and I looked at the code today, the city could require an audit.
So we can't,
Businesses cost.
so if we thought a place
They actually
just
do.
said they were there and there's never any food available,
Correct.
we could ask
They would
them
require-
at renewal to provide those to us.
Yeah, my other question was, the Cobden ordinance said substantial portion. I didn't really like that word.
I don't like that either. I think it should have
Now,
a.
what Amy provided is actually an amendment that they made to their definition of what is their Class D license, which is the restaurant license. Their ordinances, like the cities, are actually online. So I got on the Common Code, and they actually amended their code for Sunday for their restaurant license, to make it an 8 on Sundays. So that, it actually appears there they have a set time.
But I like the 51% better than substantial.
But that is,
51% is.
51% is already in the city.
Right,
code.
right, no, I didn't like, I think you could argue that, 20%.
I think it's substantial.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the 51%.
Motion that we add the language that Richard has suggested.
I had one, Mr. Austin.
I do. First of all, Amy, thank you for reaching out and bringing this to our attention. I support it completely. I want to know how many other restaurants are going to be affected by this, and how will we go about notifying them, or will we go about notifying them of their opportunity as well?
I think she had it listed in here.
Yeah, it's on the memo.
Yeah, Martello's, El Jalisco, Sergio's, 17th Street.
They're all open at 11 a.m.
All open at 11, so now they will be able to sell between 11 and 12. So how will we make them aware of the ordinance change?
How many of them have a liquor license?
All of
All of them.
I think it'd be easy enough to just draft a letter.
Yeah, themselves,
That says
Yeah.
the.
This is Murphysboro. They'll know.
They'll be calling Amy tomorrow.
I'll call them.
We can do that.
No, thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
I made a motion.
Did we vote on that?
No.
I'll second it.
I guess the
Oh,
question
sorry.
I would have for
The language does not specify a time.
I would
So-
say 8 o'clock.
I wouldn't do 6.
I'll read the language, if you're gonna use 8 as the time, I'll read the language that I would propose that you would add as a sentence. It would be section 21-3, or 21-3-1 of the liquor code. This would be the language: for a Class AR or DR license, alcohol may be served on Sunday beginning at 8 a.m., provided that the kitchen facilities are fully operational and full menu service is available.
Okay. That'll be my motion.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt language as offered by Mr. Blake. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries.
Effective.
Suppose it's effective pending the, presentation.
We can get that done by Sunday, right?
We're closed this Sunday.
All right.
Don't take that long, right?
Happy Easter Day.
All right, is there any public comment under community relations? All right, hearing none, we'll come out of that and we'll go to improvement chair by Mr. Don Glad. Don?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under old business, we're going to continue our discussion regarding the properties in the 900 block of Locust Street.
Brandon. Thank you. Sorry.
Well, we don't have Mr. Isert here this evening, and so I suppose we could table that. I don't have anything new to offer in regard to that. I thought he might be able to bring a report, so.
Okay, under new business, we have consideration of accepting a deed for 421 North 16th Street.
I'm believing that this is I'm not 100% sure if my memory is failing me, so somebody help me, but this may have been a property that had burned.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's in need of being demolished.
It is.
Okay.
This property had a squatter around. And when they finally get him out, he said he burned the house down before he left. And the people who owned the house had no insurance. Isn't that right, Chief? The guy that owned it didn't have any insurance?
No, he did not.
Is that the one just down from Logan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he had
Yeah, Logan
insurance,
goes right
but
there
he
beside
quit
that.
paying it, so they canceled the
His little,
policy.
his little dog.
He was actually, they weren't squatters, there was a verbal
Oh my God,
contract.
she called him. She was afraid
State
of
Farm went
houses.
ahead and sold renter's insurance to the people that had moved in. Neither here nor there. Nobody in the entire situation is telling the truth, but it just needs to be torn.
That's the story I got.
So,
Mr. Blake?
I was going to add that in my discussions with Charlie Eisert, the owner indicated he would be willing to convey the property to the city. There's a neighbor who's willing to buy the property if it's cleaned up. The one thing the owner said, that he would be willing to convey it over to the city if the city waived his outstanding water bill, which Charlie had checked and it told me it was $282. This is property that did sell at tax sale at the last round. I did check, it would take to redeem from taxes $790.38. That's subject to increasing in July. I searched, there aren't any other liens against the property. So if the city were to take a deed to it, that amount of taxes would be owed. There aren't any other liens against the property.
Can we send the guy that bought the taxes, tear it down and clean it up?
No, you can't. We if we are going to, what I was going to, in my communications with the mayor and Charlie, are looking at a procedure to get it torn down quickly. Rather, we could go through an expedited demolition procedure, which in that process, we'll have to post it as a immediate hazard and dangerous structure. We have to send notice to the owner, then to the tax buyer. We also have to do a publication. There's a 30-day period after doing both of those, within which either of them could file with the court saying they want to rehabilitate that property. We doubt that would happen. And then we could, the city could then proceed to take action, record a lien against the property. To take ownership would be a matter of expediting that process, and the city would own the property. We sell it rather than having a lien against the property, then foreclosing that lien.
We could sell it to the person next door that
Correct.
really would like to have the property cleaned up and owned.
Could we reach an agreement with him to buy the property and tear it down?
We could attempt.
I mean, I did that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Gladden, this is your committee. What's your recommendation?
I believe we need to table it right now till we've got a better line on how we're going to go about it.
Okay.
Next up, we have consideration of the Downtown TIF District Building Improvement Grant Program. I believe you all had a copy of the proposal.
All right. I've been involved in sort of working on this, so is Mr. Urbis, Sandra, and WJ to some extent. I don't know who to start the conversation. I suppose I can. When we created the Downtown TIF District, essentially we took the recommendations from our TIF consultant about how it ought to be set up. And I want to say that there wasn't anything necessarily wrong with the recommendations that they made, but the way that it was set up, it really did not yield much result for people in our downtown who had, invested significant money into their buildings, and that we've, really generated so much community pride and positive feeling from. And in looking at what other communities were doing with their TIF districts, we found that their programs were much different than ours, and were able to provide essentially specific things that they would reimburse building owners for that help contribute to the longevity of these buildings in your community, such as roof replacement, heating and cooling replacement, tuck pointing, plumbing replacement. These things you see listed on the eligible items. And this program, as you may see, allows for a certain budget every year. We budgeted $50,000 for this current year, and it sets both a project minimum and a ceiling that any applicant can get within any one calendar year. I think that this is a good product that we've put together. I think that we have set up a situation where people who had previous agreements with us that were not very productive will be able to sort of retroactively access this program for funds they've already expended. And, new applicants to the TIF district can access it moving forward. So are there any questions? Is there a motion to adopt?
I just got a comment. I think we've done a very good job by backdate. In effect, we're backdating it. And
Right.
that was
Yeah,
an excellent
I was
move.
worried about the people that were involved with the other TIF language, if they could, I'm going to use the word grandfather into this, so obviously they could apply for this also and be reimbursed for some of their eligible items.
Not sure if I...
Okay, like we have buildings that are within that TIF district, and didn't we have a grant program with that of any kind?
We did, and, what happened was you might have somebody who had invested $60,000 into their building, and they only had $17.18 available to them out of the way our program
Well,
is
that
set
made
up.
a big
Because
hole in the...
They were only able to capture the tax increment
Okay,
based upon the assessment of their specific parcel.
all right,
And there are a lot of interior improvements
yes.
that don't necessarily lead to an increased assessed value.
Same thing with roofs and.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that answers. Thank
Do we
you.
have a motion to
John?
approve this?
Remind me, Will, I know we've got 50,000 for this year. Does that include the back amounts, or is that new money?
Well, we actually have more money than that in the fund.
That's what I was thinking.
I think it's like 168,000 or something, 127. I like my number better. But,
So that was for new projects. The 50 was meant to be for
If you
new
recall, the
projects.
50,000 we did at budget time, we didn't really have this new idea in mind yet. So that was just kind of a shot in the dark number based on the old formula, you know, not knowing if that was going to come to fruition or not. So, this actually specifically says the 50,000 in the language here, so a better chance it'll be used, I would suspect.
But really, that's for new money this year, right? Not,
That's for 2024.
Well, I mean, it was meant for any new money, or if, we came up with some kind of equitable agreement with those other property owners.
so that,
Yeah.
Just kind
so
of-
that might come out of the 50,000,
Maybe.
or maybe not. Okay.
Again,
I know we talked about it. I
That
can't
wasn't even on
remember.
our radar when we did the
Okay.
budget, so.
I'd make a motion to approve the new grant program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, next on our agenda is the consideration of several revisions that we're going to have to postpone subsequently, since everything was reproduced, it all didn't get there. So we're just going to put it off, but we did want to show that we had made progress, and there's still a long way to go, but we need to start picking these off rather than having
so is
them all
this is 6 down, and how many more to go?
Are you in the 1800s yet?
40 total, okay.
Wow.
All right.
Do we have any public comment?
I just want to make sure that we keep all right.
Okay. Yes, we have a comment from the public.
Yeah, on the TIF agreement, I'd appreciate Sandra and the mayor and everybody, including me on the meetings and with the discussions. I think it's a great thing for the city. I'm glad you guys passed it. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. No more comments, Mr. Mayor, back to you.
All right. Works, chaired by Mr. Gary McComb. Gary?
Thank you, Mayor. There's no old business, new business. Consideration of declaring the mosquito program as surplus. We do that, it needs work on it, and I would entertain a motion to donate it to the city of Ava and let them have it fixed up to use it and be all Darren's away. We're not gonna get much out of it if we sell it, so, and we have went up there and sprayed for them before, and it's something they can take, maybe somebody up there, they one of the farmers or somebody, and fix it up so they could use it.
I'll make that motion, Gary.
All in favor? Nays? Ayes have it. And then we're opening the fall cleanup. So we have two.
We do. So Sandra said something to me earlier today that the bid specs to provide,
Lump sum bid for both cleanups.
and so anyway, a lump sum bid for both cleanups. And so I think one of these bidders indicated when that they may not have bid it that way, but in any case, we'll see what we have. The first one we have is from Southern Illinois Waste Container, and they have a total bid of $13,629, and they're splitting that evenly between the spring and the fall of $6,814.50.
That's the guy that's done it for us in the past. We keep his 30-yard dumpster down at the holding area for the guys cleaning up. I can call him one day and he's generally there the next morning to change. He's been real good.
All right, and
That's about the same price, too.
And the other bid is from Republic Services of DeSoto, and the bid from Republic Services for the 2 citywide cleanups is $9,000 per cleanup. So I guess that would be an $18,000 bid in total. So I'm not the greatest at math. I think I know which one of these is one we need to go with.
I would entertain a motion to award this to Southern Illinois Clean.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. This guy's been super on the cleanup, so, and I would suggest next year we don't spend the money to advertise this if he will do it for the same price. You know, we just spend money. Well, we've got anybody, you see what happens every time we put it out. And this other one I had put on here, it's discussion regarding the curb cuts and sidewalk replacement. We have people cutting through our sidewalk, a spot that wide, and that's all. And most of them aren't finishers or know how to do it, and you get where it sinks. I think we need to put it in the ordinance that you take the whole square of concrete out. We had the same problem with the guys doing the sidewalk. They cut a spot that wide past their box and then fill that in around there. You know it's not in there to hold that concrete to concrete. I just like that when they go through our sidewalk, they replace the whole square with, on the sidewalks, 4 inches of concrete, and if it's in a driveway, it probably ought to be 5 or 5.5 inches of concrete. You know, where somebody's driving across to get into their driveway, because 4 inches won't last with a heavy truck or continued traffic across it. It's whatever the county, I just think, to make our sidewalks look better and be safer for the public.
Thoughts?
Just a quick question. Gary, is it in our ordinance now that they only have to replace what they take out?
I'm not sure what, and I don't think it's.
Or probably don't have anything that states it, do we? Can we just tell Charlie?
Well, it should be that way, but I don't think it is. But that's why I want to bring it up. We don't have to pass something tonight. But if you drive around town, or clear away, put the boxes back in, they got a spot about that wide around them, maybe 3-4 inches, and that's all they pour. So that might leave 8 inches on the outside of the old, and then a little strip of new. There's a spot on South 20th Street the other day, the guys put they got a spot about up 8 inches to a foot in it there. I mean, Tim?
Darren and I could go through and come up with a spec sheet, and then we can update the ordinance as well to make it fit that where they have to replace the entire panel. They're also responsible for compaction, because, you know, if you spot repair just the sidewalk, you know, if you do compaction, it'll same drop. And you could also extend the amount of time, because they're only responsible for a year, so we could also extend that.
Yeah, and I think under the sidewalks, and they're supposed to be so much CA6 or rock.
Yeah. We can get on that, like I said, we can amend it, but we'll have section.
Well, we can put this off till the second meeting of next month to, them guys have a code that we can vote on.
Yeah, I don't think there's probably anybody up here that doesn't, understand that that's a good idea. It makes sense to me. I mean, you're not going to be able to, essentially catch projects when people are coming in and they're going to be doing, lots of these various sidewalk cuts and whatnot.
Well, and code.
Right.
When they to work, hey, this, you gotta do it.
Right.
We have a copy of who they are and their insurance. We can always go back. And it's kinda nice if when they pour, before they pour it back, that if Darren's got time, or Tim, either one, somebody to go 4 inches deep. I went by on time, and the guys that broke the concrete up and poured, throw it in there. You can't do that.
I
They
think
said,
that's
who are you?
exposed aggregate, isn't it? That's supposed to be cosmetic.
But I mean, that's what you fight. Contractors or the, and that's how they were gonna pour the sidewalk back, but they also put a curb at the end of a wheelchair ramp. Same contractor.
Yeah.
He said, well, I didn't know you couldn't do that. They did that. The wheelchair ramp, and at the end was a curve for the wheels in the wheelchair to go off. But once we get an ordinance on it established, they'll have to go by it. So I'd like to see this put back on the second meeting in next month.
All right, well, in the meantime, if we could just sort of get a spec sheet of what our street department does, for a standard sidewalk, and just incorporate that in there, that'd be a good place to start with the language, I think.
If you get it done by the first meeting in next month.
Can I?
Is there any,
And I just have no idea, how many of those jobs are done, like, would it be, so we know it's done right? I mean, could we put in our ordinance that that's something that we do and bill them for?
That's already kind of included in our estimation permit, to where the contractor is required to fill out estimation permit. They don't do it as directed, they go back and do it. So that's with road patches or alley patches or anything like that. But we can look at that language to make sure we'll keep on.
Right. Okay.
is there any public comment? There are none, we can come out, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. That takes us to public safety chaired by Mr. John Urbis. I do want to point out that we have Mr. Grafe with us this evening from IDOT, and I believe, although it's not on the agenda, he is here in part with us about the thought process when it comes to the light at William Street and 13. And so, if you don't mind us interjecting that, do you want to address the council?
That's fine, we can get this over with, like get the firing line. Well, first of all, thank you, Mayor and City Council members for having me here. It's a pleasure to see some familiar faces that I don't get to see every once in a while. William Street's a mess, it's been a mess for a long time, okay? And I also got to apologize for my appearance. My day started about 5:30 this morning with that pleasant little event that we had to go through. We had some localized flooding, and not to mention the signals out by Penn Aluminum went out again after we thought we had them fixed. So it's been a rather long day for me, so I apologize if I'm not on my A game. I attempted to get Carrie Nelson here. She's the program engineer over there. She's more adept at our letting process of what we got coming, but I've got some basic facts, okay? William Street is a mess. What IDOT is planning right now, there's a contract on the September letting. So by the time the letting goes through, we'll be lucky to get any major item of work started this year, okay? Because one of our problems that we are facing is anything with structural steel or any electrical components. We are 8 months out if we order them today. And we've tried every trick in the book to find some different avenues on the procurement side. So it's not only with us, it's also in the contractor world too. They're having the same problem. In a nutshell, there's a couple of problems associated with that. With the intersection itself, there's what we call the negative offset on the turn lanes. So as you're coming east or west, regardless of which way, and it also exists out here at Penn Aluminum, ironically too. And a lot of our intersections are this way. We try to avoid it now in our new designs. But a negative offset means you have to lean out your window to look past someone coming either east or west in this particular instance. The first major item of work, we're going to redo the geometrics of the intersection to do that as a positive offset. So essentially what you're going to be able, now you're going to be able to look right over your steering wheel and you're going to have a clear line of sight coming east and west, okay? That's improvement number one. Improvement number two, there is some pedestrian accommodations at this, and I believe there's even going to be a ped head put in this, which it's one of the, it abides to the ADA law and some of our laws governing pedestrian traffic, where they will be able to activate, it will change the sequence of the signal once they hit the button. Everybody swears those things. Okay. And then the other one is, and I'm sure this is where everybody is got their point of contention all raised up, is the either protected, what we call, is the only go on a green, and then there's the protected permitted, which is the situation now. We have a green arrow, and then it switches to a green yield. And a lot of our accidents, and maybe Steve or Chief Elmeyer can weigh in on this, from our perspective, we see a lot of follow the leader. When there's 3 or 4 cars going through on the green arrow, then the green bulb is there, they follow in accordance, and then here we have problems. We have a lot of that. Some of our accidents are distracted driving, and that's hard to engineering for. There are some wishes, and I'm a Murphy kid, so I'm sensitive to this. My wife drives through this intersection every morning. I drive through it multiple times a day. So I don't want anything to happen, certainly to my family, much less anybody in this room or people that are traveling through our community. It is a hazardous situation at this point. What our proposal is to do at this time, and I think it's a good proposal. Mayor Stevens and John was there, and then Scott came over. Scott and I used to work together. So they came over and listened to a little bit of our proposal. And what it's going to do, it's going to go to a green dedicated, and then it's going to go to a yellow arrow. And studies have shown that the yellow arrow throws caution to everybody. They're not so instinctive to follow the leader on that. And so that is the improvement. Argument is do we make this protected at all times? There are problems with that, just to be honest with you. When we protect it, that means at 2 a.m., if you're coming home from, Evansville, for some unknown reason, you're cruising through at 1, and someone's there that triggers that, your main line's going to stop, because it will shut down the legs in order to make that movement. If it is protected and permitted, it won't trigger that yet, so that green time on the east-west route on 13 will remain open. Studies have shown that when we shut down on the protecteds, that we get rear-end accidents because we're causing people to stop. So there is no right answer to this. After they left the other day, I discussed, because one of the problems, I sat out there one day, right, after you guys visited. I'm like, all right, people are flying through here. And that's the problem. Obviously, we're not an enforcement agency, but the one thing I propose to my traffic engineer is that we do a study on getting one of our speed indicators out there. That 40 is a ways back from the intersection. So we're looking, in addition to the contract, this would be done, if we can't get it in time to do it, we have the ability as IDOT and our traffic forces to make some adjustments. That type of thing. So we're looking at maybe getting a slowdown, and we can trigger those things however you want to do it. If we can get it down, it won't start blinking until you're 45. If anything over 45, it'll start blinking at you. You guys have seen those all over the state of Illinois when they travel. So that is an option. There's certain hurdles we got to go through to get to that, but it is an option. So we're trying our best. The bad thing about this contract is that scenario 1, we stick with the contract. And I do think our designers, Susan Pope in particular, has given a lot of thought into this, because we don't like high accident locations. And one of the problems is we have to have the data in order to develop these, what's called HSIP funds, right? Without those, we can't dedicate that money to that. So this particular project, believe it or not, has not made the list yet because there hasn't been a fatal. And that's a terrible thing to say.
It's a terrible thing.
It's a
I
terrible
said at
thing.
the last meeting is,
But-
it's gonna take a fatality to get it changed.
Yes, ma'am, and it will, and we don't want that.
No,
I would
know
wish
you
in all
don't.
of
I
our southern
understand.
16 counties that we never have a high accident location. But, so there are complications on the funding, we've worked that out, but you're talking September letting, it will be done next year, but we'll be working on it mostly in the fall, coming up. You know, or we'll start it in September, and then this time next year, we'll be going gangbusters on it. And it won't be, I looked at the working days the other day, I think it was like 60 or 65. It wasn't a great amount of work, so we won't have the intersection tied up long. And I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn, but, so I'm not 100% on those numbers, but I think I looked at it, and that was around the number. So that's not one of our larger contracts by any imagination. So I'm open to questions. Oh, let me get one thing in too. One of the problems is that if we do permitted only, if we go fully permitted, or protected, sorry, get these, it's like lotto balls in my head sometimes. If we go strictly protected on this intersection, we can never go back to having the option to give it, because we've established a pattern there. Because everybody knows that when it's green, I'm free to go whenever. The first day, I guarantee it, if we went backwards, we'd have an accident, or a near miss. I guarantee it. One of the complications, everybody uses the Walmart intersection as an example, and that was horrific, okay? The gentleman got killed, what, was it a week after we got it opened up? It was really close.
Yes.
And so they studied it again, and that's a little bit different because the traffic volumes that are coming out of there, out of Walmart, justify a little more protection than what they do. The one at, we have down by Don Morgan's office, and we have this one, we have 127 going north right there. That complicates that sequence, even to 5th Street and throughout, going through Walnut. Our signal technician, Jonathan Tooley, is the best in the Midwest. And so we are actually going to look at it, it's on our agenda. We're gonna open up some green time for the turns. If you wanna go like south on Williams, or if you wanna go north towards where the prison is located, where old Sergio's was, during morning rush, during lunch hour, during closing time. We're gonna try to extend that and maximize that turn movement, so people aren't, if you're 5 cars deep in it, you're on the gas,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so we're gonna try to relax some of that pressure on the and that's underway right now, we're studying it. So, it's not as simple on signal timings, because if you change one particularly at this location, it will change a lot throughout that corridor.
Questions, thoughts from the council?
Well, and your question was, why can't we just have the first initial question was, why can't it just have a
green
arrow? And
Because-
I think you've answered that.
Well, I mean, it's not what everybody wants to hear, but it's the
Yeah.
reality of it, because this is unfortunately not the only intersection that we have in the southern 16
Really?
counties that has this problem. And so you run the risk of introducing another
You
problem.
open a can of worms, and I get that, yeah.
And I want to vouch for the people that have designed these plans. It is the best effort. I mean, because IDOT dedicated, these aren't safety funds. We dedicated monies out of our program to attempt to improve this situation. So it's, we hope that we never face this again, but there's always going to be problems because intersections are never perfect.
I appreciate the depth of the information that you
Yeah,
just
me too.
provided
Yeah.
to educate us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I really
more
do
than one or two
appreciate that.
years, you know.
I'd just make all of them a green.
To give leave this meeting, and you guys convinced me to make it protected only, we'd have to change that signal head out there. So by the time we could even get the parts in and get it done to do that, would be 8 to 10 months. Because it's a 5 signal head out right then when we start changing the configuration, because the cabinet would have to be replaced, some of the electronics in it, in addition to all the signal heads. So it's by the time we get that done, contract's gonna be underway.
Fair enough.
Rob? Chief Ellermeyer has a question.
Yes.
So you're going to extend the time limit on the green arrows?
Particularly going, like when school's rushing to the general in the morning, because there's a lot of people that
take that cut through, and then they'll go the back way into it.
Yeah.
We've seen that movement. And then when, at lunch, when everybody's coming back, we've seen a lot more movement there, and especially at close of business with school. During a period of time, we can adjust those things. It doesn't seem very long, because I've eyeballed it. And you can see people rush. If there's like 5 in line, you can see them do it.
I think the ones out there by Walmart are like 8 seconds,
Mhm.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
That would probably help a lot
Mhm.
with the situation.
We've got Mr. Tooley working on that as we speak, and when that all comes down, I'll certainly reach out to everybody and say, this is how we maximize it.
Thank you, Rob, really.
Thank you, Rob.
appreciate it.
Appreciate your effort.
Okay, that leads us to new consideration of changing yield to stop at intersection of Future Lane and Enterprise Avenue. And I looked out there today and it looked like there was a stop, so I'm not sure what we're talking about.
Okay.
You know, I just
One
told her
direction.
to put a stop sign up there and we vote on it later.
Oh, okay.
So that's my
Very well.
fault. I'm just telling you. Obviously needs to be a stop sign. And so, anyway, if we vote it down, then we'll go take it out, we'll put the other one back.
So it's a stop going east, and there's nothing coming west, or coming west, right? Yeah, they can make the turn.
Darren, do you want to?
It had just been a yield sign headed east, and what this came from was the people that work from the county. So the trucks, you know, you go set out there for 30 minutes and see how many trucks come and go from San Ron.
Yeah.
Those guys are coming around that corner, they're not looking, and that's where this all came from.
Yeah. So they have to stop going east. Coming in west, there's
And
no
I noticed that,
stop.
9 out of 10 that are sitting out there getting gas, that they are stopping.
Good.
It's slowing them down.
Yeah.
If they're just yielding every time and going through their 10, 15 mile an hour, the big trucks, that's gonna hurt that road too, so. they
Yeah.
need to stop.
All right, do we have a motion to put this?
Gary, you gonna vote no?
It's all right.
All right. Yeah, I wondered, because I, well, there's stop down there.
That's the key to getting Gary to vote yes for stop signs, go ahead and do it.
Public safety. Move on there.
All right, that takes us to personnel chaired by Ms. Barbara Hughes. Barb?
Thank you, Mayor. There's no old business. Under new business, there is consideration to change the mayoral duties and salary. In speaking with the mayor today, will this temporarily at least?
Yes, I would. You know, talk to a number of people, and I think one thing that is critical and is just part of being responsible beyond the concept does and the job description and whatnot is that, you know, this proposal simply to eliminate the 1 cent grocery tax is real and very well could, you know, be adopted. And I am not comfortable with a discussion about increasing, you know, the mayor's salary. This, you know, when we don't, we're going to be, you know, looking at 100 or 200,000
Could be as high as
reduction
250
in,
probably.
you know, in our revenues. And, you know, beyond that, I think too that there were a number, you know, be happy to support something for me personally, but this conversation about no matter who the, you know, mayor of the
Has to be about
community
the
is,
position, not
like,
the
it cannot be about me, the specific position. And so I think that's, you know, I'd like to just table that discussion and perhaps revisit it later after the General Assembly session concludes, or perhaps not.
Another thing is when we do, Mayor, if we do open that back up again, we may want to develop a little task force to, like we did before, to research that.
Sure.
I think that would be prudent to have several people on there to just study it and, you know, sit with Scott a little bit and Sandra about finances of that. it's prudent to wait until we see if we're going to lose $100,000 to $250,000 next year with the 1% sales tax.
Agreed.
And thank you. We all know that, well, I think we all know that you pretty much put it in a full-time position anyway.
Well.
And I'm sorry that at this point, I personally don't feel comfortable with presenting that to the council to make that a full-time position. But thank you for all you do.
You're very welcome. Well, is there anything else?
As far as I know, unless any of our staff has anything that they need to talk about under personnel or share with me. Hearing none, Mayor, I think we can get out.
All right.
Our public comment, I didn't even ask for that.
All right. Well, that'll take us to the mayor's report. We have consideration of video gaming ordinance. It was asked at the last meeting that we provide a zoning map, which Mr. Isert was able to get something put together here for us. It's been my recommendation that we limit any new video gaming to areas that might be zoned B2 with an additional caveat that it couldn't be any closer than perhaps 100 or 200 feet from residential. The B2 is the color-coded area that is in orange. It takes in Walmart, the Doctor's Park out toward General Logan School. It takes in Jackson Square and across the highway. It takes in an area sort of around Boss Truck Service. And so that is what that is. I'm not sure if Loney's are here to comment
Do we
on
have
that.
any in areas other than these right now?
I'm sorry?
Do we have any in other areas besides these right now?
All of them.
All of them are? Okay.
At Jackson Square.
There is one, isn't there?
So,
Yeah.
and as I've said in the past, and I know that I don't know that the, council necessarily, sees it the way that I presented it, but these video gaming parlors in particular are just, I get a lot of complaints, especially when they're adjacent to residential, so. All right, well, if there's no, Mr. Maloney?
Well, as you know, I've gently, tell you about the one on Chestnut Street. Paul and I we own 5 lots in that, 2 buildings. We've had no problems that I know of to this point. We'll be good neighbors, but I think it's an awful location for that. I will even tell the owner that if asked. I haven't spoken with her personally, but as I said, no problems, Paul has. But I just think there's other locations for that, and we have plenty of those in this town. I mean, Huck's, on and on, you can do that. I'm not opposed to gambling. I've been to Las Vegas, and Walker's Bluff, and all kinds of places before, but I just think enough is enough, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
How long has that one been there?
Listen,
Oh, I was gonna say, it's only been a few weeks, hasn't it? So you haven't had time to have any more.
No, that's okay.
It's like, not where maybe you won't.
That particular one isn't in a B2 zone area.
It is not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, my proposal obviously is not to do anything, not that, we could with the current establishments, but just sort of try to stem the tide of new ones. Mr. McBride?
So I just want to point out that you do have one that has been rehabbing a building. I don't know if it falls in with this or not, but at 7th and Walnut, they have completely rehabbed that building, but I don't think they've been issued a license yet because they're not quite ready to open. So you've got somebody that's put a lot of money into a building right on Walnut Street, making it look better. If this passes, we might not be able to get a license, and they've spent a lot of money on that. I didn't know if the council was aware of that.
I thought they couldn't get a gambling license because they was too close to the church.
I think they're more than 100 feet away
They're more
from the
than 100
sanctuary.
feet.
It's from the sanctuary, and I think they're more than 100 feet away from the sanctuary.
According to how you walk.
Yeah.
How far away is it from?
Mr. Gladden?
Said it's over.
Are we at the point where we want to limit the number in the city?
Well, there are a multitude of ways to do this, and that is one way to do it. But, as I've raised the issue, the feedback I've got is that there isn't a willingness to, just strictly limit the number of them. I don't think there's the votes to do that. And so I was approached it with the zoning question because I thought that might be gain sufficient support.
Well, I will just say this about doing it with zoning. When the cannabis discussion was when we had that discussion over months, essentially what we do is that you can't be in business in town by saying you can be in business in town. We've restricted it by allowing it in, only B2 and, I'm not for it, but I know I've had this discussion with multiple council members and, everybody's going to understand it. I just don't think I don't know, I have trouble getting there.
Understood. Well, if there's no, motion.
I'd make that motion. Put it up for discussion.
All right.
To what?
To limit it to B2, exactly.
Limit it to B.
B2 zoning area.
I would second that.
Yeah.
Say what's going to be presented, since we're doing it through zoning, we'll need to go through the zoning board of appeals. So we'll need to present what's going to be proposed through the zoning board of appeals. Let the zoning board of appeals make their recommendation to come back to the city council procedurally.
All right, well, who's the chair?
Mayor, let me ask a question.
Yes.
Piggybacking on what Steve said, that 7th and Walnut, has it been given the understanding that it is going to get a gaming license?
Yes.
And they have done the work with the understanding that they are going to get that gaming license?
Yeah, there's
So if we pass this, then what we've done is we've told that person, we told you you could do it.
Not, they don't have.
Oh, not if they don't have to open yet.
The city don't anyway.
The state
Control
That's
the
the
liquor
state. From the city, they can't get.
I just want to finish up that comment, because if we've told that person that he can have that license, and now we're getting ready to pass something to where we put it in specific areas, that's going to eliminate him and all the work that he's done
And the money.
with the understanding that he was going to get it, right?
Well, let me go to our city attorney, because, Richard, it is only right that they be allowed to proceed with their development, because I brought that specific location to the council for general discussion, and there was, no, willingness to essentially say, we don't want that to happen. And so, is it strictly a matter of, writing this ordinance in such a way that would allow for those who have been given approval to continue, or?
Those who are already there by law would be grandfathered in under zoning.
Right.
Now, somebody who's in the process of it, that would be a matter of the city saying we make an exception, saying the city's recognized this premises will be given a license.
How would we do that functionally as a council? I mean, is it a matter of simply just saying in the motion, should this pass, that specific address, and I don't know what it is, will be allowed to proceed?
Yes, if this all goes through and approves, it is approved, yes.
Okay.
Is this the only one?
Yes, as far as I
So
know.
let me ask you this, because I think we don't, the billboards, if that approval then has to go through the zoning board also, right? If it's something that's not allowed within that zone, does that not have to go
That
through?
wouldn't have to.
It wouldn't have to be did we not have
What
to
we
do
did
that?
with the billboards, we made it a requirement that those billboards come forward. Certain ones come back before the city council.
Okay.
I have to think back because,
I know, I don't get it. That's right there by where Kerwood is, isn't it?
yes, it was a billboard that was going to be in the B2
Right down
district.
from 17th Street.
I had to think back about one that was in the industrial district, but I'm not talking about that. One in the billboard in the B2 district, we provided that it has to come back to the city council for approval, not just the zoning board of appeals.
All right, that answers my question there.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have another question. Okay, this location, has he already applied for a liquor license? Do you know?
I'm not sure of the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Sandra's shaking her head no, because, an application doesn't hit my desk for signature. You know, they
Right,
have-
but they have to also with the state.
Correct. Yeah.
But they already have a liquor license, right?
They are currently a liquor license holder already.
Oh, okay.
Not for
that. That was my question.
Because
business before anyway. I think Sandy Cat had her real estate office in there.
There was a hairdresser there. Yeah, hairdresser there.
Why don't we open up our hairdressing place?
Cheap cuts.
Cheap cuts.
You only get one.
Band-Aid's extra.
Yeah.
Steve goes, he knows.
Well, do we need to amend the motion to?
Gary was going to mention something. You were about to say something whenever I cut you off.
No, I just, I know we give out liquor licenses, not up to us. That's strictly state. But before we give a liquor license in a block or something, maybe we ought to talk to the people that's got business in that lot. It's like, I've been here for years and years, and it would've been nice for him to know that was going in, even though you haven't had a problem with it, to kind of,
They've been lovely neighbors. There's no.
no, but nice. I know years ago, we had a place burning, and they a restaurant to go back in there and bar, and then they come back and they want to. And you don't know when it turns a person from one minute to the next. Different ways.
Now, this wouldn't affect liquor licenses though, right?
Well, they have to have a liquor license to be able to get a gaming license.
Now-
You can't have one without the other.
Here, what we're calling the gaming parlors, we're limiting where they're, rather than as compared to what would be a regular bar.
Or a restaurant.
Such as, River Rats would be in the B1. They're different than these.
So if they applied for one now, they could get the license and still get the
River
gaming
Rats
machine. Bar, not
A regular bar.
Right. My target all along,
This was the parlors that we're talking about.
right.
Like there by Huck's and.
Yeah, because we don't want to, limit somebody who's gonna come in and invest, $1.5 million in building a new restaurant. Oh, by the way, over in the corner, we've got the
So the solution is just sell more alcohol and gamble less. And you're good. That's what we're saying, basically.
Yeah, well.
As long as you sell lots of alcohol and are open late at night, we'll let you get few gaming machines wherever you want to put them.
You know, Lincoln said the will of the people shall be the law of the land, and I'm hearing from the people that they don't like video gambling parlors, so that's what I'm trying to curb.
So I'd say a friendly motion that we would approve the one that's basically been told they can do it, right?
Correct, which is one.
But we haven't voted on the B.
Right, so at this point, it would just be voting to move it forward to the zoning board of appeals.
Right. So we don't have to make the exception to that place now?
Yeah, I guess you could at this point.
Well, I think we should.
So it's clear at this level.
Yeah. Well, that's my motion,
With the exception.
with the exception.
To move it to the zoning board.
Right.
I'll second that.
I already seconded.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I
that's
rescind my
fine.
second.
I was just going to say the
Accept
second
the second
accepts
amendment.
the amendments, so.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No.
Are we asking for a roll call vote?
Might as well.
Alderman Hughes.
No.
Alderman Curry Witzman, Alderman Runke.
Yes.
Alderman Austin.
Yes.
Alderman Jackson.
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
No.
Alderman Ertz.
Yes.
Alderman McComb.
Sustain.
Alderman Stratton.
Yes.
Alderman Gladden.
Yes.
6. Passed.
All right, motion carries. Mayor's report, I also have a item that I could not advance this evening, unfortunately. I made the mistake of believing that I could appoint Miss Asia Watson to the Sally Logan Library Board. It is extremely not based upon the fact that she is barely outside of city limits, and state statute calls that only, people inside city limits are able to serve on the library board. So anyway, I will have to not move on that. Just a point of information on the mayor's report. I've reported at times about the Southwest Connector Coalition that I'm the chairman of, the group of 4 counties, Jackson, Randolph, and Monroe, that have been advocating for expansion of Routes 127, 154, and 3 from Murphysboro to Waterloo. And I was very happy last week to get a notification from IDOT and from Senator Durbin's office that there was $3 million included in the latest federal budget, which IDOT been matched with $3 million to finish all of the environmental studies and planning that has to be done along the route to further its shovel-ready nature. And so we're very happy to get that $6 million. We have a full meeting of the coalition coming up in June. We also are tentatively, I believe, 99% sure that we're going to get a $50,000 grant from U.S. Rural Development to update our Southwest Connector report, which is basically the document that outlines the purpose and need for the highway expansion. It was first crafted in 2019, so it's 5 years old now. Update the traffic numbers, and we need to update our letters of support. And so we are going to be working with the SIU Business Development Corporation to get that done. The grant money will be, I believe, coming to the city of Murphysboro. It's got a little bit, and then I believe we're going to contract with them. So before that. And then lastly on that, there remains $15 million in the state budget, and I'm continuing to talk with the House Speaker's office about getting that money released such that it could be potentially used for construction, and I'm getting positive indications that will probably happen sometime after the end of May, or once the budget is adopted. So I'm thankful for all of those things happening. I wanted to update that, and so there you have that.
That deserves a round of applause.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how far it'll go, but,
Anything's a good start.
That's right.
right, and it helps just build momentum and keep things moving forward there.
Well, IDOT, that they bought on to the matching money, that's a huge.
Yeah, that was huge, and I have to give, really Governor Pritzker's who deserves credit for that largely, because when I met with him and Secretary Osmond, he was the one who looked across the table. Director Osmond, I think we could at least provide $3 million out of the current budget, and of course, what's he gonna say? So, you knock on enough doors and things can happen. Thank you. We'll go to council member requests, and I'll go to Ms. Hughes. All right, Mr. Runge?
Nothing, thank you.
All right, Mr. Austin?
Nothing, Mayor, thank you.
All right, Ms. Jackson?
Nothing, thank you.
All right, Clerk Hunsaker?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Pittman?
Nothing.
Mr. Irvis?
Nothing.
Mr. McComb?
Yeah, the only thing I got is I think we need to review some stuff in our liquor license. It says in there, a person who is not a citizen or a resident of Jackson County cannot have a city liquor license in Murphysboro. So we need to either enforce that, but it's in there if anybody wants to see it. In that case, if we enforced it, it goes in Perry County.
And I know our city attorney, I think, has said that it may be an unenforceable situation. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if we can't enforce it or it's illegal, then we need to get it. Huh?
Address.
Yeah, I mean, the ordinance just says that you're prohibited a license if you're not a Jackson County resident. I didn't either, Gary showed it to me earlier.
I saw it was in there, but it don't. From Sandra. And then also, if you're not a citizen of the United States, you run a house, ill fame.
Ill fame.
And, I mean, there's several things in there, but if we can't enforce these, then why? He's wanting to open up business here in town. You want a copy of that, Richard?
I can look it up.
No. Get it off her.
Nothing, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to take this opportunity, Maloney's and Amy, for what they do and their friends that they work with for the city. We recognize that and appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. All right, that'll take me to department head. Ms. Ripley?
You want to bring up the mold remediation here.
Oh, I didn't I? So, here's some good news. I received a communication from Chairman Calandro that in the moving in to the Spears building, that they discovered a mold issue, which they have abated the mold using Environmental Operations, Inc. out of Brent. And the total amount that they spent in the remediation is $25,444.
Here goes the first year.
And now, in advance of the lease of the property, we inspected the property, the county inspected, and there was no mold found, but somehow mold was found.
Well, I would think too, if if that's something that we would want to pay, they would want to tell us it's there. We get it done and say, we're the property owner, not them,
Well, I think the county realizes that this was not something that fell, under the contract that we entered in with them on the lease. But I think that this is well, what it is it's a request not to pay the bill, but if they're asking if we would consider paying any portion of the bill.
I'd rather rent an excavator and tear it down.
If anything on these houses they give us to tear down.
Am I hearing a motion from anybody?
To pay it? No, I don't.
No. What did our agreement say, Richard?
I would have to have,
Honestly, we
I mean, I
probably need
think
to
we should
look at
look
that
at
and
that
see if there
first.
was any pre-existing.
I mean, we, did essentially agreement that, if certain things would fail, that, we would, help in the repair or replacement of them. But, this just wasn't even
spoken to, I know that.
in any way in the agreement. So,
I mean, I'd like to at least look at that and see what we agreed to or didn't agree to.
well, we can, bring that question, I suppose, to our city attorney and have them review the document, or we can provide the document to the council for the next meeting, if that's what council would prefer.
Well, I'm sure it didn't say that they can just go spend whatever they
Right.
want and then have us reimburse them for
Well,
it.
yeah, they're renting from us.
Correct.
So as renters, we should have been informed of that, or as the rentee, we should have been informed of that before they spent the money, and then we would have had the option to bid that out
And I think-
Or not rented.
or not rented.
This
Yes.
is more of just a friendly ask than anything though, right? They're not expecting us to pay a certain
Well, I
amount.
think they're probably expecting us to pay it, CJ.
Well, I think they're expecting us to pay something. We're asking us to pay something.
That's exactly what it is. It is friendly request to say, hey, we missed this, in our inspection, perhaps, you missed it or whatever. Are you willing to do anything?
Who were the inspectors?
Well, I believe Reisert and Chief McBride inspected the building before we purchased it.
Right.
And I'm not sure who they...
Do they have one?
I cannot recall who they had inspect the building. But, all right.
If you were renting a home from, or an apartment from somebody, and you found mold in it, wouldn't you tell your landlord before you just took care of it?
If you want
Well-
it paid back.
To be, I don't remember the exact timelines, but I was informed that they said there was some mold that would have to be remediated.
After they moved in?
Well, at some point. And
Oh, okay.
Frank-
They have not moved in yet.
They're still not moved in? Oh, I didn't know that.
But frankly, I did not in any way believe north of $25,000 bill for mold remediation. I mean, right, or something, and we can, I will provide Richard, what I would like you to do is review our agreement and then provide essentially for the next council meeting in regard to this particular. I will. Okay. All right. I believe I was at Miss Ripley on. Okay. Mr. Evans?
Nothing, thank you.
Chief McBride?
Oh, good, thanks.
Chief Elmeyer?
Nothing, thanks.
Mr. Manwaring?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Sheffer?
Nothing, Mayor.
Ms. Volley? Mr. Lee? Mr. Gladson? Mr. Mills? All right. I don't believe I have a need for an executive session. I'm too tired to call.